Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Talking Cloud. Now, this is where we talk about cloud, anything, everything, nothing's off the table. It's all about cloud computing, and frankly, it's really all about technology, because what technology doesn't connect somehow or use or talk to the cloud? I mean, it's so ubiquitous. And I've told you many times, I'm just the Gilligan in this equation. I seek out really bright, brilliant professors to join me, and I got a great one today, and I'm super jazzed. So I've known Brian for a number of years. You can look him up. Storied background. He's been in the game for a number of years now. He's the chief technology evangelist, for a name we all know if we've been in the cyberspace at all, Zscaler. And I'm super happy to have him on the program. Brian, thanks for being here, man.
Yes, Grant, and to all my new best friends, thank you for having me on the pod, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. So listen, I didn't really tell them all the F5 and kind of the
hmm
stuff you've done in your background, but I'm happy to push it from the dock however you'd like. Why don't you go ahead and just take it wherever you want to take it? I'll talk about whatever you feel like today.
Yeah, so I think there'll probably be a lot of questions, right? You go to my LinkedIn, there's two glaring ones that probably be very obvious. Is that I am the chief technology evangelist at Zscaler, but also says Cloud God. Just so
Yeah.
you guys know, it's self-proclaimed, like it wasn't born into it. But yeah, the technology evangelist. Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny. I talk to a lot of customers, and sometimes they're like, "Oh, why is the marketing guy in the meeting?" And I'm like, "Whoa, come on, wait a second." Like I am 99% of like what's on the wagon today. 1%, if you ask really nicely, I might tell you stuff that's coming down the pipe. But going back to my F5 days and kind of how my career trajectory, how I got here, I was at a F5 SKO. So for the people that don't know what that is, a sales kickoff,
Right.
and it was 2014, and a gentleman by the name of Guy Kawasaki came on the stage, and not Robert Kawasaki, not Rich Dad Poor Dad, but it was Guy Kawasaki, and he gave a presentation that day that it changed
Canva.
my. Oh yes, he is the Canva guy. Yes, look at
Yeah.
you. And
Oh,
he gave a
I got a great story to tell you after you tell this one.
Yeah, let's cover all the bases today. And so he gave a presentation that like it changed everyone at F5 that day. The way that we shook hands, the way that we dressed, wrote emails, created PowerPoints. It was groundbreaking. And I was like, and top of that, he was on stage, charismatic, and he was funny. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And he turned out to be the former chief technology evangelist for Apple Computer. I'm sure we've all heard of Apple before. And now he's doing the whole Canva thing. He is a really, really sweet guy. I actually
Yep.
sent him a message on his website. I said, "Hey, dude, you don't even know who I am, but you kind of helped shape my career." And he wrote back. He said, "Hey, nice to meet you. Call me anytime," and give me his phone number. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a neat moment for me.
Well, so it's funny you say that, Brian. The because I carry a similar title. It's not chief, but I call myself evangelist, nothing more,
Yeah.
nothing less. In 1983, when I helped open up an Apple dealership, I couldn't spell computer. 6 months later, Apple introduced the Macintosh. And that was like I was a fish waiting for the water. That was mine. I went straight to it. And there was this guy who just, I thought, man, his presence, his delivery, his title, man, I want that. And it was Guy Kawasaki.
Shut up. Really? Wow. Okay.
Swear to
Small
God.
world.
But it gets better because I went to work and opened the office for Apple Computer in 1987. I met Guy. I always kind of held out and saying, if there's a job that I would aspire to and hope I could do as well as him, it would be that. And in 1998, I was Checkpoint's first worldwide evangelist.
Oh wow. So you've been doing this for a minute.
And so when I see the titles now, which are much more common,
Yeah.
it's funny. And I have to give phone boy Damon a shout out and tell him I love him, because when I came back through the acquisition of Dome 9 and I was in Israel visiting headquarters, someone who's introducing me to, he said, "Oh, you're one of those evangelists." And phone boy stepped in. He said, "No, no, he's the OG evangelist," and it just made me feel, it made me feel good. So yeah, I've been doing it a minute too, and it's neat actually to see how the title and the role has evolved. I mean, I personally take it tremendously seriously, as I'm sure you do. I mean, I take a great deal of pride. In fact, it's funny, I was just in Washington, D.C., and I presented on Tuesday in Raleigh and then Thursday in D.C., and I was talking to people at the desk in D.C., and I said, "You know what I was doing last night? I was going through my slides." I mean, yeah, I've delivered them 20, 30 times, but doing it again, just, sharpening the pencil.
Yeah, people think that is this something that just comes easy, right? And
Yeah.
and what they see is the finished product. They don't see you in your room or office all by yourself, standing in front of a mirror,
Yeah.
giving a presentation 30 times before
Yeah.
you think you have it kind of dialed in. I was a little curious, like on your creative process, right? I know
But
for
it's
me,
more
I don't.
than that too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm interrupting you, Brian, but I'm thinking to myself, it's so much more than, I mean, for me, especially when I don't know about you, but a lot of times I'll be given content. I'll also be expected to create content. I always say I'm not the pharmacist, I'm the syringe, so I
mhm.
don't I mean, yeah, I can come up with the messaging, but I prefer to have you tell me what you want the market to hear and then I'll deliver it. That being said, I've always kind of go through my mind of, you know, like Apple has always done, what's the user gonna experience if they're out and their butts in a seat? And I'm standing up after the last schmuck, before the next schmuck. What can I do? That's really, and you know what? I really reduced it down to, and I'd love to hear your thought on this. But as a speaker, right? And I'm talking specifically in that role and function. What can you accomplish? What can you really strive to do? And for me, I really think it's to get the audience to member to say, "I want to know more." I mean, because anybody ever rushed the stage with a PO after you got through speaking? It's never
Not yet.
happened
I'm
to
still
me.
waiting. Yeah, yeah.
That's never happened, right? So, I mean, the moral of that story is quit selling and provide stuff that makes them go, "Wow, I want to know more about that. I want to pull on that, right? I want to hear more about that." That I
Yeah, I
think
feel.
that's it.
Yeah. I feel like if I'm presenting to customers or prospects, like it's the underlying tone is just generate curiosity in whatever it is, right? I just want them to go to the website. I want them to reach out to somebody, just become inquisitive.
Yeah,
But if I'm
I want
presenting
to know
to,
more. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And then and then the key is, there are multiple ways that you can move someone to taking action,
yeah,
right? I
yeah,
mean, we all have that supercomputer. They're sitting there, maybe on the website while you're presenting, right? I mean, that's
exactly, yeah,
actually taking action. Um, but it, it I think that's one of the big mistakes that speakers make. And of course, I'm talking about, you're at a conference, there's two, three, five, whatever 100 people that you're speaking to. The goal and objective should never be to try to sell the kitchen sink. It's to try to get you to get one of those barbs in your mouth that just, you want to know
yeah.
more.
I do find myself as a very highly competitive person. If I ever attend anything and someone is better than me, I'm infuriated, right? And it's not like I hate the person, but it's just like I feel like the goalpost is always moving, and so it's almost like this mentality of like when I show up, like I'm here to do the absolute best that I possibly can. And if there was a survey that's going to come out, people are going to be like that bald guy with the beard, he killed it, right?
Yep.
And I feel like going back to your thing, and I think maybe we're slightly different. Um, I like to get content, right? But I feel like I can't tell Jay Chaudhry's story, right? His story is phenomenal. I have to
Sure.
create my own, and that's one of those things. Like I'm curious where where do you reach from? Do you go from an angle of salient points? Do you look at like trying to communicate a funny story? Like what? How do you do the old hook, line, and sphincter? And
You
yes, I
know,
said sphincter to be funny, but
yeah, I did, and I should have chuckled out loud for you, so you knew it hit.
yeah,
Um, Little side note: met Jay for the very first time in September of 1998
okay,
at the very first partner conference in San Diego at the Dell. That was also where I met
it's
Gary
a nice
Fish.
hotel, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this
Yeah,
was, I mean, it
Coronado.
was, yeah, it was beautiful, but it was also a big deal. We were demonstrating our investment to our partners, which,
Hmm.
it was cool. That's where I met Jay in, two or three businesses before. He's done fabulous. For me, I guess I really, I sometimes, I have to machinate on stuff to where I really get the groove. I love stats and facts, you
Hmm.
know, and now that I have an assistant that knows everything the internet knows, man, I'm killing that. I mean, I'm exercising the shit out of that. It's funny. I won't name names, but I have to tell you a funny story. A colleague comes to me and he says to me, "Hey, do we have any data on the percentage of vulnerabilities that occur starting with the endpoint, right? Like the actual endpoint, which I would think, you know, how else do you get in? I mean, it's going to start on the edge, but he's talking about like on the laptop or on the phone, and he says, "Who should I talk to internally?" And I kind
Yeah,
of laughed and I said, "Nobody. What are you talking about? You got an assistant that can give you every stat you want." And I said, "Go to Claude, write the prompt, be very
hmm,
specific. You're a security researcher with 2 decades experience in endpoint. I mean, just really drill in. Click on the research option, and when you use Claude, it'll go out and it'll show you the 300 or 400 websites that it researched, and then it'll give it all to you." And it did. And I
yeah,
just thought to myself, we're in a different world where we all have an assistant that knows everything the internet knows, but it's dumb as a rock without the right prompt, right? But
yeah.
the right prompt, you can do some amazing stuff. Uh,
There
we
was
have
a
to we have to think differently about it.
There was a video that you posted on LinkedIn, and I think you're given like 30 seconds to do, I don't know, it was
Oh
an
yeah,
elevator pitch or something,
yeah.
security efficacy, right? I think it was the underlying tone. And you got out there, and I was watching you do your thing, and you dropping the stats and the facts. I was like, this mofo, I hate him. Why was that so good? Yeah,
It was it was make a list of pure play
yeah,
security vendors. Yeah, and I think for me, one of the greatest, it's funny because it's truly a dichotomy, as I feel like one of my greatest strengths is I am a Gilligan. That I never went to computers. I don't have a computer science degree, any of that. All of it's just kind of from working the farm when it was the raw farm, before we really automated. um and so I've always looked at things differently than the normal kind of cybersecurity view, I think.
hmm,
It's why, Safety HCP, when I told my director of development about that, all it is you get a full mask and you're in a network of one until your MAC address is found in a database and they knack you and let you go on, right? In When I told Steve, I said, "Man, we should make this as a product." And he'll agree. He said, in your wonderful resonant voice, "That's fucking stupid." And I went, "Why?" And he says, all you got to do is go out to the C prompt, self-assign an IP address. And I said, Steve, dude, you can do that. But the growth of the internet, and we're talking, 2002, 3, I said, it's going to be all these Gilligans that they don't know other than their hard drive flickers, and then they get to eBay. And it really ended up being one of the best-selling products we had, especially when we got it onto a VM server. I mean, then it's just a license to print money again, right? Software only. Yeah. And I hated the appliances. We had to buy them in bulk ahead of time. We had RMAs. We had customers in India that swear they never received them. What do your biggest customer, Accenture, says the 12 you sent, we only received 6. You need to send 6 more.
It's like sending it to China, right? You send an extra dozen. Yeah.
Do you say you lie? I mean, oh, you're lying. I know you got them. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I hated those. But yeah, my point though is stupid, but simple, but remove the unintended, the Gilligans that, had a virus on their laptop and would come into your office, plug in and then infect your network. That was who it mitigated. That's who it removed. It didn't take out the guy who said, I'm going to break in and, went in with intention. But it kind of cleared the field of all the Gilligans.
Oh, you're just trying to reduce the risk, right?
Yeah,
and be able to clear it and identify it.
Yeah. But this was, I used to say there's the most critical software that runs on any IP network is your DHCP and DNS.
And layer 8, the users, right?
Well, yeah, that's right. But I mean, seriously, like people kind of still, I think, underestimate the elegant complexity. Is that how you say that? Of DNS. Where'd you go? Oh, I love the freeze.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, there you are.
I got you back or you were saying, but seriously though, and then it went blank.
Oh, yeah. I love the freeze frame I had of you, though, man. It was you with a great smile on your face. I was just about to grab screenshot and use it for some marketing. You know how sometimes that happens when, TCP/IP, man, it can sometimes go, there's a train here, stop in 5-10 seconds. Okay, come on. And somehow manages to pick it back up. No, it's just funny how the most critical software really is DNS, DHCP, and how unbelievably elegantly complex and elegant DNS is.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the book of Bind, it's 680 pages, right? The Cricket Loo root. I mean, it's like and you can have DNS so screwed up and somehow still it resolves. It's amazing. And the number of experts that companies have on DNS relative to the dependency on it, it doesn't seem like they do. But
at Black Hat this year, you're going to see at least 3 shirts that says it's always DNS.
Sure, it's going to be the same DNS players that it's been forever, right? Infoblox, Blue Cat,
QIP. Is that even a thing anymore? I don't even know.
I remember those guys though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, QIP, NetID. Remember NetID? Yeah, geez, that was back. Those were my original competitors. With MetaInfo, MetaIP. Back when you had a CD and you said, what operating system, it could have been Solaris, it could have been Ubuntu, it could have been all these different variations that you're baking your own. I mean, it was kind of nice when the appliance came along, right? I mean, that concept, I mean, even better when the virtual appliance came along, right? That was like, I'll never forget, there's things people talk about. I'll never forget where I was and this happened or that happened. I'll never forget the first time I saw VM server
Mhm.
running an appliance in a window on my machine on my desk. I mean, I just dropped my jaw. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I'll never forget the time that we were doing, I was working at US Airways and we're trying to do, get PCI certified because we didn't tokenize back in the day, which is now American Airlines, but I digress.
Hmm.
And, Qualys did a scan and says, you guys have HV Connect verb is enabled on the website. So you need to turn that off. So I was like, I got this. Jumped on the F5, wrote a quick eye roll. 3 months later, US Airways goes down. I'm like, wonder why it's down. And there's a failover, this, that, other thing. I kid you not. When I wrote that eye roll, I said log local 0, drop the connect verb, and it filled up the disk and created an outage to the tune of
Oh,
about $3 or $4 million. I was like, oh man. I was like, and it was one of those things where I like went with my tail between my legs and went to my boss. His name is Tom Enderley. If you're listening, buddy, I love you to death. One of the greatest managers I've ever had. And I was like, hey, got the root cause, and it's Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville situation. Shot myself in the foot, and he's like, "Well, what happened?" So I explained it to him. And then for those of you listening, what the heck do I mean by Margaritaville situation? So Jimmy Buffett was in a plane trying to impress a young lady with a gun. Like it was like a puddle jumper, right? But on his way to Margaritaville, he shot himself in the foot. So
I never heard this story.
yeah,
True?
yeah, true story. Yeah,
Wow.
look it up on your Gen AI
I
LLM of
will.
choice, buddy. It'll be in there. Paraphrase, but yeah, that's the gist of it.
Wow. So that's wow. That's not a good thing to do on a plane either.
I mean, it wasn't on a plane,
Oh,
right?
okay,
Yeah, but it
good.
was for the website. It was for
Okay.
revenue generating website at the time. So
I
yeah.
mean, I'm thinking of Jimmy Buffett.
Oh yes, yeah, the Jimmy Buffett thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about the eye roll that I wrote.
yeah, no, the Jimmy Buffett on a plane though. I mean, that's maybe it's a good thing it hit his foot because
Yeah,
might have been worse in damage on the plane or something. I don't know.
could have been worse.
So
Which leads me to my next question for you.
yeah.
I know that this
Although
interview is
I'm
supposed to
supposed to
go.
be asking you questions, but go ahead,
Yeah, yeah.
Podmaster. I saw that on your LinkedIn. What's it? You've done podcasts, or you're doing a podcast now, or something?
Yeah, me and my buddies, we have a podcast. It's called PEPCAC. Stands for the problem exists between the chair and the keyboard. So we're just pointing fun at the users, and
Oh, I love it.
I
I
think
love it.
we're in like
All
episode.
around good podcaster. Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love it. Well, I always say we've all heard that joke. It's not the car; it's the nut holding the wheel.
yeah, yeah,
Same, right? It's not the computer; it's the nut holding the mouse.
exactly.
So,
The nut holding them out. I haven't actually heard that one. That's a good one.
yeah.
Yeah, going back to talking about users and things like that. Like when I people ask what I do, I'm like, well, Zscaler. In short, we allow the good, block the bad, stop the stupid. And every single time I do that, like every once in a while, he's like, "Are you calling my employees stupid?" You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm like, "Well, what I'm saying here is that once I was trying to, I was traveling and I had to iron my shirt, and I tried to do it with the bottom of a hot pot of coffee. That was stupid. It didn't work. So I can call myself stupid and your employees
Good.
stupid. So
Yeah. I think what I would do is I'd pull up a picture of, that cartoon I think we've all seen of a bar scene and three people at the bar, well, two people at the bar and one donkey. You could just hold that up and say this is the same ratio for your user base. I mean,
exactly,
there's
exactly.
there's one in every crowd. It's inevitable. And the fact of the matter is, I think, and I talked about this. I feel for the mid and below organizations in terms of number of employees, number of resources, right? The couple hundred people or
Hmm.
less. Yikes, man. I feel like they're struggling because that the complexity of this world we're in today and how hyper connected in the supply chain and all the other things, and hey, man, I'm the shipping guy, but I have to take care of the computers.
Yeah,
I think it's a tough nut, different than it used to be. Do you see that?
I do. And I would even say, I won't name names, but a friend of mine, no one has money for security until something bad happens. And for them, it was man and or let's be inclusive, person in the email attack, right? In which somebody was just using a generic username and password. In fact, the entire organization was embedded themselves in a PO. And so when it was time to cut a check for 50 grand, right, they had said, hey, the new routing number is this, right?
Right.
And so boom, that money was just gone like a fart in a hurricane, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And so then
Boom.
all of a sudden, yeah. And then once that happens, then you're like, oh, well, maybe we should talk about phishing and user education, you know, password strength, multi-factor, like the list kind of just
Yeah.
goes on and on, man.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of like, hey, Brian, you have cancer. And I think I'm going to quit smoking then. Right. You have lung cancer. Okay. Now I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
It's interesting what does motivate the behavior, even when it's like right in your face. I think what's interesting, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I was having a conversation with a guy. We were talking about how it's really a unique industry and segment of the industry, the whole cyber warfare, cyber world,
Mhm.
because there's no end.
Yeah.
There will never be an end. And the only similar industry or business or environment is war. But here's the difference between kinetic war and this cyber warfare is, when's the last time you heard about the cyber criminals saying, hey, let's have a ceasefire?
Yeah. Never, right?
But in kinetic war, we kind of get fatigued, we get tired of killing people, we run out of ammunition, right? And sometimes it takes longer, but most of the time you get to a point where you say, hey, let's sit down and talk about working this out. Let's stop fighting. I
Mhm.
don't think that'll ever occur in the world of cyber. That's what I'm saying is, you know, eventually, we're trying to get Russia and Putin and the Ukraine to talk, right? But they at least, I don't know where it's at now. They had a ceasefire, but you can look at Pakistan and India. You can look at, you know, fight and fight, fight. But eventually, even us in Afghanistan, how we got out wasn't the ideal scenario. That's another discussion. But the point is, we tried to achieve an end. And I don't see how in the world of cyber anybody's ever going to try to achieve an end to it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you're 100% correct because, in war, kinetic war, as you're saying, you have these large groups of people battling each other, right? But in cyber, you can have, 10 million armies of one. That's the reality. And if we take a step back and say, okay, you look at cyber warfare versus like normal warfare, what do they have in common? And I think the answer is similar, very similar. I might alienate myself a little bit right here, but I definitely think it comes down to control and money. That's what it all has in common, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. And yeah,
So elaborate on the control. I get the money part, but when you say
yeah.
control, in this aspect, elaborate what you mean.
I mean, in Connect Warfare, it's about land, right? And it could be any number of things. It could be oil, gas, whatever you want.
Yeah.
It could be the
I
Holy Land,
totally get
not
it in
whatever.
the
Yeah.
kinetic world. I see it.
Okay.
Yeah, that in the cyber world,
No, if I own every aspect of your network, that is a God move, right?
totally. But I
Yeah.
guess yeah, it's an interest. It's I don't know that I necessarily see it right on a eye to eye, right? But I guess
Hmm.
certainly when you break it down to the microcosm of
Yeah.
instead of countries and land, we're talking about entities,
Hmm.
digital property, right?
Data.
And so in that regard, whether my physical footprint is an island in the Pacific, or my digital footprint is n number of customers, users, employees, what have you, right? I I I get that. I could see
Yeah.
that, and certainly
So
control
it's a little
is the name
dark.
of the
It's a little
game.
dark.
Yeah. Oh, but that's the world we're in. I think more and more all the time on the cyber side. It's pretty amazing. You should listen to an episode. I had a Oded Vanunu, and
Okay.
Oded is the head of research, um, vulnerability research at Checkpoint, and you know, smart people, brilliant
Yeah.
people, just like you guys have. And he was talking about really this whole thing started from nation states, governments. They
Yeah.
needed they needed ammunition, so they're the ones that have commissioned or have had things like Pegasus and other types of breaches that malware, Stuxnet, right, where that's the ammunition, right? And then all of a sudden you can create two sides, right? You can create a bad guy side, and farm out and sell that nasty stuff. But then you can also create a white hat side and say, hey, if you find the holes here, I mean, think about that. If you create a bounty on finding a hole in iOS, anyway, his whole point was that governments played a key role in kind of creating a lot of the shit that's out there,
Hmm.
and then subsequently it can create a market on both sides of the coin, you know, to chase vulnerabilities in iOS. I mean, just think how the bad guys could just make hay with it. So they're
Hmm.
putting money out in the dark web. We'll pay you if you can find it. But then it's that white hat, be a good guy, will pay you 4 million. I mean, 4 million's 4 million, whether you got a black or a white hat, right? That's a
Yeah.
lot of money.
It's a lot of it's a lot of scratch. Wasn't it back in the day? Export grade ciphers were perceived as the most secure way of that the government would allow things to go on, but behind the scenes it was just chock full of vulnerabilities, so they could trick other countries into using it because they thought if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us, right?
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
it's funny that you say that. And I can't give you anything specific right now, but I was pondering this the other night. Just, how sometimes I was kind of laying in bed. I wasn't all asleep. And I was just imagining, you know, there's so much digital dander from us everywhere, and the social engineering and the capabilities. I mean, and with AI now, and the fidelity of both audio and video
Hmm.
blended with these very malicious, nefarious intended, I think it's going to get really nasty. I really do. I think a lot. And because I think, well, look, what's the statistic? I just had it, because I looked up, I asked Claude to give me a bunch of really, startling email statistics about phishing or something, right?
Hmm.
um, 4,100 plus percent increase in phishing emails since the release of ChatGPT.
I mean, it does write a pretty damn good email.
It writes a really good email. And
I,
and
I,
go ahead.
I was going to say I've been told that I'm a little harsh sometimes. So early on, I may have scrubbed my emails and then used it to kind of soften the blow in
Right.
things, and it worked out great.
Till the
And then
soil. That's what I call that. I call that
yeah,
tilling the soil, or fluffing the pillow. You
yeah.
got to fluff the pillow sometimes, especially when there's a rock under it.
here's where it backfired though. So my daughter was going through something, and so I was going back and forth on text, and she's like, "Am I talking to my dad or ChatGPT?" I was like, "Ugh, all right, busted. She got me." I was like, I'm trying to
That's
have
funny.
empathy, sweetheart, empathy. And she's like, She's like, I can just talk to ChatGPT anytime. I just want to talk to you. Give me what you
That's
really think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well,
She
it's interesting, right? And I said this before, and I really, really buy into it. The skills, the skills a knowledge worker really needs to be exercising now are not his or her IQ skills. It's her EQ skills, emotional quotient, being human. Because do you think your IQ is higher or lower than Claude? Mine's lower, guaranteed, right?
I mean
I mean, Claude knows everything the internet knows. I just got to ask him to go find it.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so my point is, you know, our education process. I mean, I'm older than you, but it was
Barely.
probably
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same. We memorize, right? We drill in facts, and all of that shit is out the door. Really, what matters is being able to learn and think, to actually use your brain to think. But this emphasis on studying and getting the test right, and memorization, and knowing these facts and figures now, it seems sort of like when Einstein got asked how many feet are in a mile. And a reporter asked him, this is true, that how he answered?
No.
I don't know. And the reporter was aghast. Couldn't Einstein, you don't know how many feet are in a mile? And he says, why should I bother occupying my mind with a
Hmm.
stat that I can easily go to a book and get? I want to use my brain for thinking and imagining. And so I think it's fascinating when you look at today and ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, whatever. There's not a stat that I can't get.
What do you got against DeepSeek? How dare you? It's my
Okay,
favorite.
it's,
I keep
it's
all my usernames and passwords in there. They do such a great job.
yeah.
I'm kidding. I don't use it, guys. I
Oh,
don't.
I personally really like Claude. I do really
Yeah.
enjoy Claude. But my point, though, I guess, is aren't we setting our kids, our youth up for failure if we don't start to teach them differently about the tools, because the tools are going to walk circles around them on stats and figures. And I mean, the world's changing in that regard.
You're 100% correct. And I was thinking about this not too long ago. So I was talking with a bunch of CIOs and CISOs, more CISOs. And the question I posed to them is like, everyone here um, that has an enterprise architect or data security architect or any of these people, 9 times out of 10, you grew them, right? You grew them in the business. You brought them in entry level. They're at the help desk. They
Yep.
showed aptitude and you grew these people into this and they became these wonderful things. So like, what's that going to look like when a lot of these lower entry level jobs kind of just go away, right?
Don't need
And
them.
I think the way that's going to look like is, we're going to go from the, let's focus on security, white hat and the black hat hacker,
Yep.
to it's going to be more of a white hat prompt engineer and a black hat prompt type of engineer person. People that understand kind of holistically the things that are out there, but know how to like really use these products to kind of get the desired outcomes in it. And I do think whatever your Gen AI platform of choice is, it is great at curating data. It is horrible with creating a unique thought, right?
Yep.
Um, Now, like you, right? I'll use it for research purposes and find stuff. But if I want to tell me a joke or to try to do some type of an analogy between, Coke and Pepsi, it's just never going to get there, right?
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
where you just got to be able
That's
to
the
like you still have,
humanness.
yeah, the humanness is our special factor right there. So
Totally.
leveraging that tool really isn't that much more than back in the day when we first started doing, Google, right? We were using that as a way to find stuff and memorizing it.
Spot on.
Yeah,
It's
but
what
now
I
it's
tell.
it's even more curated. Yeah.
It's what I tell. I tell people all the time. If there's one thing, and I've been saying this for a year and a half, almost 2 years, every company should be investing in some sort of prompt training. Every company, whether it's handing out a prompting for dummies to everybody or actually investing and having someone come in and do a half a
Let's
day
write the book,
training
bud.
course. I mean, so I just think it's critical because we all went through the same thing 20, 30 years ago when Yahoo and then Google came into the scene. You better learn how to search. You got to learn how to do your right search. Remember?
Hmm.
Well, all that shit can go out the door now. You really need to understand. It's like I always say, it's like a shuttlecock, and you and I are playing badminton, right?
Yeah.
As I hit my prompt, and it flutters over, and you take a minute, and then back flutters the answer, and I go, no, but I want to know more this, right? And so you can keep it going. It's not that search and find, 1, 2 games over, right? And understanding that exercise, that interaction, is really, really, I think, something a lot of people don't understand. And I think it's
Yeah.
critical. And I think there's a lot of people that are old, like me, that haven't been in the industry for 40 years and are freaking out and don't know if they're going to have a job or not. Maybe not me, maybe 10 years or 20 years younger, where they still got a long runway on their career. I'm hoping I do, but I'm closer to that time where I can sign the check and not have to work if I want it. That'll never happen. I'm going to die. That's when I'll retire. But
Yeah.
my point is, somebody who's 50, right? Somebody who's 40, I think there's a lot of anxiety because it's coming so fast, it's changing. And now this whole thing about agentic AI, and, you know, I mean, it'll be really interesting. Are we going to just start to say, this is what I want to accomplish? And I'm going to have agents that are actually going to go and take that action and get it done? Because that's not how it is today, right? Now I feed it, I get the answer, and I go
Yeah.
and decide how to take action. It's going to be interesting.
So I was sitting around with my family, and I was there with my stepdad. We kind of gathered for not good circumstances, but we were there, and myself and my little brother were talking about, and I think one of my girls was talking about Gen AI. Specifically, it was Grok versus ChatGPT. And my stepdad's like, "What the heck are you guys talking about?" I was like, "Oh, you don't know? Let me tell you." So we convinced him to install ChatGPT on there. I was like, "You can ask it any question in the world." He's like, "We'll just answer you just like that." And not only that, you can like actually talk to it. He's like, "Okay." He's like, so he signs up. We're in Arizona. It is 2:35 in Arizona. He says to the thing, "Hey, what time is it in New York?" And he goes, "It is 2:35 in New York right now." We're like, and like, so imagine you're trying to like show somebody, and my stepdad's 74, and I'm like, "No, you don't understand. This thing's amazing." And then I'm like, "Oh no, ask it differently." And so we're asking different questions, and like, it just can't get it right. I've never seen ChatGPT fall on his face so hard. And so
That's
then
so
I was like,
funny.
let's deviate. Let's talk about that new, like that F1 sleeper. And the F1 sleeper is like a F-150 sleeper is like, it's a very basic 2-wheel drive F-150 single cab, but you can buy it with a supercharger. So it's a sleeper because you think it's a no car, and then just like 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, right?
Right,
So
right.
he goes, "Tell me about it." So he asks, and it's like an F1 sleeper is a cab that goes in the back. And I was like, "Oh damn it, this is not what I'm saying." So then I would ask mine, and it would come back and it was like, "Oh, it's 720 horsepower. It's faster. It's got more balls in golf land." But yeah, like I'm trying to
And,
convince
and,
my
and is that because it knew you, and it had seen the things that you'd asked about? I mean, that's the way I understand ChatGPT is a little more what you put in goes up and stays in, where Claude, as I understand it, doesn't. In
yeah,
fact, I
yeah,
asked Claude to tell me everything he knows about me, and he doesn't know anything about me unless I click on research and say
yeah.
research me, right? Then it's going out and crawling the web. So it's just interesting.
So I don't think you're wrong, but the same place, like it should known what time it was in New York, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it has like a week later went back over there and I was actually seeing him use it. And I was like, well, you're actually using it? He's like, yeah, it's amazing. My neighbor, she said that the garage door wasn't working. So I just talked to my phone and walks me through the steps to figure things out. And I got it
That's
working.
awesome.
So, and he goes, it knows what time it is in New York now. So
It's funny, my wife, I I love her to death. Still, after 25 years,
Mm,
she'll load her browser window, and of course, it defaults to Google. And
mhm.
instead of going up to the URL bar and just typing F, nothing
Yeah.
else, F, and Facebook would appear, and she could hit enter. She goes to Google and she types in Facebook and she hits enter. And I mean, as we know, I mean, if there's a chance you're going to misspell fat finger the word, it's going to take, it's
Yeah.
like, just don't. Over and over, I've asked her, doesn't change. But the other day I
They're
caught her,
creatures of habit.
yeah, I caught her
Yeah.
using Claude.
Oh, you did?
And,
Okay.
and so, I noticed that her prompts were just not, she wasn't really given it that spherical context. Your goal is, you've been doing this for 20 years, your specialty is this, right?
Yeah.
To really just kind of put it in a box. And man, she's been going to town, and she really, really likes it. Because it can multiply the contribution instead of just her thoughts and ideas, right?
Yeah.
She can, it's like, um, eh, but I just have, you're talking about your father,
Yeah.
right?
Stepdad, but yeah,
So
close enough.
my mom, before she passed away, I had this great idea, and this was, 2015, I guess, iPad. I'm going to get her an iPad.
Yeah.
Without the tactical
Feedback. Yeah.
button, right? Without, I mean, even if it's 3D and touch and it has the sound, didn't mean anything. She was just so deliberate with her finger that it was just a constant fail. I mean, it was just always a fail. And I just tried over and over and over to try to explain to her, Mom, no, you just couldn't get it. Couldn't get it. So it ended up, it was, she played cards, solitaire on it, because that, she managed to, it
She
didn't,
figured that one out.
that one, well, she didn't have to slide and didn't have to, do any other, it was just press the button. It was funny. But
I had showed my mom about podcasts, right? And I forget which one it was, but there was a couple of Joe Rogan ones that she really liked to listen to Joe.
yeah,
And it's actually kind of funny. So she becomes like kind of a Joe Rogan fan, and then she decides like, oh, he's got a Netflix special coming out. She's like, I'm going to watch it. And then I come over to the house. She goes, that Joe Rogan's really dirty, Brian. She's, I don't know. It was like one of the last things she watched was Joe Rogan
that's funny.
live Netflix special. Yeah, it was actually kind of funny. She liked him as a podcaster, and his comedy not so much, but that's understandable.
Yeah.
A little bit of an age difference there.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. He's really broke the mold, and has proven that you can sit down and talk with someone for 3 or 4 hours about all kinds of shit, and it's interesting because everybody does have a story,
Yeah.
and I don't know about you, but I that's, if there's anything that I really have come to enjoy since I started doing this podcast, is that I get to talk to so many different people and hearing kind of their stories and backgrounds, and
Yeah.
it's been awesome. And we're lucky, Brian, being in this business, being in this segment of the business, and the fact that unfortunately there isn't an end in sight, right? As long as there are as long as there's black and there's white, as you know, it's the good and evil, and that's going to be as long as there's people, right?
Yeah.
Although the war, don't you think is going to shift to fire with fire, AI, machine learning, and I mean, where do you see it going? And obviously now more than ever, misconfiguration is going to really fuck you. Um, but how don't you think we're going to start to get to AI is going to be so much more proactive about telling you where you're exposed, where you could tighten up? I mean, what's going to happen?
I do think that there's going to be a significant learning curve on it. I think on paper, we will get there eventually, but the road is not going to be this like that straight path. It's going to be hard. There's going to be some pitfalls. There's going to be some massive outages. There's going to be a lot of, you know, uh, false positives as we go through.
Yeah.
Is what I'm
Well,
thinking
you
is
heard
going to
about
actually
this
happen.
SharePoint thing, right?
No, I missed it.
Oh my God, I just saw it. It was just Moti. I don't have my phone on me, damn it. Um, there's a RCE, remote code execution, getting exploited. Several hundred companies in the US and elsewhere exploiting a vulnerability in SharePoint. So it's a Microsoft problem. You can do a search and find it. I
Yeah.
don't have it on me,
I've
but
never understood SharePoint, by the way. I remember we hired some dude at US Airways to roll out SharePoint. I was like, dude, this is like the worst website I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I don't understand it at all. To this day, I don't get SharePoint.
I, you know what I don't get? I don't get Teams.
Oh yeah,
You
who
know,
would ever use Teams? Yeah.
fuck, I just hate Teams.
Did you
It
see
tries
the?
it tries to be everything,
Yeah,
everything, and it's just I hate it. I hate it, and frankly, I hate the new user interface on Outlook. I want to go back to the old one,
yeah.
you know, but
Did
sometimes
you
you
did you
gotta
see the
go with
meme
the
about Teams that said that Microsoft came out with a new element for the universe before they fixed Teams? Thought that was pretty funny.
that is funny, but
Yeah,
AI found it. That's actually a pretty amazing stat. 2.2 million new compounds,
yeah,
400,000. Uh, uh, let's see, I'm trying to remember. There was compounds and materials. I mean, AI is discovering a lot, and I know not everything's going to be, mold and penicillin kind of thing, right?
yeah.
But there's bound to be some amazing stuff coming,
I
right?
just
I
want the
mean,
pill that's going to make all my hair come back. Once it's,
it's
and I'll be like, thank you.
is that by design, or is that? I mean, did you must use one of those to clean it up? No, or
So
you just are you a
indeed,
cue ball?
oh man, so like I started shaving my head when I was like 19 years old. Rest assured, it ain't coming back. And then
But
about
why did you because you had the hairline to justify it, or was it you just kind of had that I want to look like that bald mean guy?
so it was actually really not even that. So even when I had hair, it looked horrible. I moved away out of the house, and I couldn't afford to cut my hair once a week because that's what it needed to have. It had to be done in order for it to not look weird. So like one day I was just pissed. I saved up my money. I started shaving it with this like electric razor. So I had like a little bit of stubble, and then eventually I just was like, oh, I'm gonna start shaving it with the Bic. And so I was
Bicket.
shaving it. Yeah, I would Bic it every single day. And then I found out about laser hair removal. Oh god, I can't believe I'm telling you guys this. And so I was like, I went to a place where this lady, she took like a crayon and drew little things, and then she started lasering it off my head. Uh,
So you're not getting it back even if you wanted it.
Probably not. And I
I
will
mean,
tell you
you. I
this
mean,
horrible idea, so
could
painful,
could you
so
do
painful.
the Bosley where they tuck in the
Yeah, yeah. I get the Turkish
cornrows?
airline put back in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I every time I look at that. So funny story is a good buddy of mine, James Tuff, JT. If you're out there, brother, I love you, man.
Good old
It,
JT.
it's funny. The story with him is I met him when I was working at a computer dealer in Tacoma, and he was working at the Byte Shop up in Seattle. So we're both at dealers. Then we lose each other. We connect again. I'm working for Apple. He's working for traveling software. So we kind of went back and forth over time, but our careers were very similar. But this is like in 2003. No, I guess probably 2000, 2001. The bubble's going cuckoo.
Yeah.
Just it's heady times. At least it was. I was very fortunate. He was working for. Do you remember a company called Real Networks? They
Yeah.
were
It
the
was like streaming. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was. They were one of the first. Rob Glazer came from Microsoft. It was one of the first video streaming, audio streaming, right? And he worked there, and he had. It's funny because he and I went for the same job, and he ended up getting it, and I ended up going to Checkpoint, which, in hindsight, I can't tell you that I was. Thank you God, I was. Thank you
Yeah.
God, because I was the
It worked
lucky
out.
one.
Yeah.
But so Tuffy, he was a hair club for men
Oh,
customer.
and the president as well. Okay.
And for those of you that don't know, that procedure is a rug that's literally, stitched into the side of your head with
Oof.
staples. I mean, and so you have to go back every few couple of weeks, right, to get adjusted, right? It's the system, right? I mean,
Ah,
it's the maintenance is the revenue for these guys, right?
oh my God.
Well, it's a summer day, a hot summer day, in Seattle. We're at this place, and it's packed with a bunch of people after work on a hot day drinking a beer. He's there, and he's like just sweating profusely right
From
at
the, yeah.
right at the stitch line. So his
Ugh.
hair's just perfect, but he's got mass sweat all down, right? You can
Oh.
just one of the first things he says to me, because he used to do this all the time, is he'd kind of go, "Hey, how's my hair?" You know, he he was always so caught up with it. And this day, I think I had had 2 beers, so I was
Feeling it.
greased up a little bit, and I said, "Tuffy, if you think for 1 minute that there's not a person in this bar that doesn't know you got a fucking dead animal on your head, you're out of your fucking mind." And it's funny because you could tell he was kind of taken back by it,
Yeah.
and he didn't know how to react. And then it was like, and he came back the next day. I saw him the next day. It was gone.
Hey, you
You
did him
could
a favor.
you could
Yeah.
see the red marks, and he
Uh,
actually gave me a hug, and that's exactly what he told me. He said to me more than one time. He said, "You have no idea how liberating it was, how just, for me to not have to worry about it. It was just like, I don't know why it took me so long, but I'll never forget seeing those fucking. I mean, I thought to myself, who would go and get a rug stapled into their head? Who's that vain?
yeah. JT
Um,
was apparently. Yeah. Yeah.
Only for a time.
Do you
Only
remember the
for a
one? It was
time.
like the info commercial where they'd have the silver dollar up here, and they would spray paint it
Yeah.
to make. Yeah, I was a sucker for info commercials back in the day, man.
When my brother turned 40, and he's now 69, on his 40th birthday, his wife bought him hair in a can, I think is what it
Okay.
was called. And you spray it, and you know, a lot of people, as they're losing their hair, there's actually a bunch of very fine hairs, and so part of that strategy was to kind of be like mascara. You know how
Yeah.
mascara will cling on and make same principle, right? But inevitably, it gets on your crown
Yeah.
and looks like you got shoe polish on your head.
It's a
So
look, that's for sure. It's
it is. It is. It's funny, Brian. I decided a long time ago. Look, man, I'm I'm gonna get old, and gravity will take its toll.
Yeah.
And
We're all
but
gonna
you know what?
die.
My wife is wants to get me. She keeps going like this, and it's like I wouldn't. That's the last thing I want to do is have that look. You're not
Yeah.
gonna nip and tuck anything on me. All these wrinkles, they remind me of how much I've smiled and laughed and had a great time.
Yeah.
I don't care. And if I care,
Hey, when you
go
went like
for it.
this, though, I will say you have the ideal shape ahead. Like you could shave it all the way off. You'll be looking intimidating, buddy.
There's only one reason I don't. Now, two. The
Okay.
one is my wife won't let me as many times as I wanted to. But the second reason is that people
Okay.
would mistake us for twins. They think, are you related to Brian? I'd have to say, Brian who? Because I have a brother named Brian.
They would think you're Danny DeVito and I'm Arnold from the movie Twins, right? I'm kidding. I'm
Twin,
kidding.
twins with different mothers.
Oh
That's right. That's
my
right.
goodness.
So things are good, though. All in all, things are good. Jay's good. I mean, you're continuing to kill it. It seems like the numbers are growing. Jay really was so, he was spot on with his commitment to cloud so long ago. And, through thick and thin, he stayed true to that commitment. And, it's impressive. I think it's awesome.
It's so impressive for so many different reasons. Like he is in so many different aspects of the business. It literally incredible. Like you name it, and he's like he understands every aspect of it, from customer
I
success
have no
engineering
doubt. Yep.
to
I have no doubt.
marketing to you hear him on Mad Money and different things like that. You're just like, Jesus, dude, this guy's smart. And
Yep.
I ran into him not too long ago. I said, Jay, like like I was on a Zoom call and he's literally holding his grandson, I believe, on the call, and he's giving his little dog and pony show. I was like, all right, when are you going to retire? Like, obviously, like you can be done. And he's like, Brian, I'm already retired. I'm just doing what I love. What am I going to do? And like,
Yeah.
he's just such a wholesome guy. And
He is salt of the earth kind of man.
yeah,
I just always really enjoyed him. I thought he was. I mean, there's just some people that are special. He was always a really special guy.
yeah, just and highly motivated for whatever reason. And just like I'm like, are you waiting till we get a Zscaler pop on Mars? I don't understand. Like, what are we doing here, man? Like,
Yeah.
let me align with your North Star. But yeah, he is just an absolute, just yeah. I don't know how to
I,
say, it, but he's there to dominate. That's for sure.
I love what he's done also because he's given back. He's done a lot for India.
Yeah,
And I think that that's also cool. He's gotten some great recognition there, So when next time you see him, tell him I said hi.
I will
And,
definitely do that.
now that he's retired, tell him to come be on the program. He'd be a
Oh,
good
jeez,
guest.
he's not retired,
I
at
know.
least not from Zscaler. But yeah, yeah. He would probably be a very interesting guest. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
it would be
Yeah.
fun. We could talk about 30 years ago. Uh, but, well, shoot, man. This has been kind of cool. Great way to spend the afternoon, having a
Yeah.
chance to talk with you. I really appreciate you taking
I
the
appreciate you
time.
reaching out, man. It was the saying, iron sharpens iron, right? So you
Yeah,
just keep doing your thing. You keep posting, you'll piss me off, and eventually I'll come up with something cooler.
yeah. And then I'll be watching.
Yeah,
See, now I'll be watching big time, But that's why I said earlier, equal opportunity podcast. I love everybody. We're all, it's great because this industry, and I bet you have so many friends you can't even really count them unless you just kind of sat down and really went through, because that's how it is with me. And honestly, there's a lot that I don't. They're like I have everybody I see. I love them all. It's just I don't get to see them very often. I don't remember all their names like as much, but I feel the community. It's remarkably small for as big as this industry has grown.
it is. And you should know, man, like you do pave the way and you do influence people just as much as Guy, influenced me. I think recently you emceed was it the Checkpoint user conference or was it the
Yeah,
SKO?
we did. I was honored to the the sales kickoff, what we call
Yeah.
Checkpoint Experience. Yeah, it was in the
And I was like,
Americas.
that's
It
what
was
I want to do
awesome.
now, guys. I'm like,
Yeah.
Grant did it. I should be able to have some fun. Not the checkpoint one, the Zscaler one. So,
Yeah.
but it's
Well,
it's really neat. You do things like that. It helps influence everything else. And hopefully one of these days I can pay it forward.
yeah, I appreciate you, brother. I do. And I just really appreciate the friendship I feel like I have with you, Brian. And I appreciate you coming on the program, having a chat. I hope you'll come back and
Anytime.
do it again, brother.
Now I got to get you on the PepCAC podcast, and
Okay.
we'll
Yeah,
balance it up, Eddie.
that's a deal.
Yeah,
That's
and
a
everyone
deal.
that's listening, thank you so much today. I appreciate your time. Reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. We can talk about zero trust or our feelings. Like I'm
Yep.
up for anything.
Yep. What's your email, Brian?
You just work or personal.
Whatever you want to yell out to anybody who's
Uh,
listening.
Yeah, go ahead and fish me. It's briandeitch@gmail.com. Very
There you
original.
go. There
Yeah.
you go. Okay. No, great guy. Chief Technology Evangelist. I should be able to say that word. For Zscaler, a great company, done just some amazing stuff in the cloud. A shout out to you, Jay. I'm impressed with all that you have done over the last several decades. So kudos to you. And thanks again, Brian. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you'll found this time well spent listening, watching. I know it's been a blast for me, but I'm the lucky one. I always get to be the one that has a blast. You guys just got to put up with listening to me, but I sure appreciate it. And I hope if you like it, share it, tell your friends, subscribe, and we'll look forward to having you back on the next episode of Talking Cloud. Thanks so very much.